Hello, I'm Acacia Cat, and people love Minecraft builds, but I think taking the scale up a level makes it even more enjoyable. As great as this Nintendo Switch house or this Thomas the Tank Engine build may be, look at this and tell me the dedication doesn't wow you just as much as the result. So today I figured it would be fun to go through the most voted on Minecraft builds of all time and specifically filter them by mega builds to see the biggest mega projects that have been attempted by the Minecraft community. And to give you an example, this is one that has been worked on for 13 months, according to its user, Astrophagy. I'm not going to try and pronounce them all, but they'll be on screen. This is a clear mega city that you can just see is lit really well, first of all, but second of all, you can see that this is a city of lots of unique, individual, very colorful buildings. I mean, a lot of people think that making a house is this impressive thing. Think about the effort required to build a city. It's not just 30 individual houses and 30 times the work, because you have to build all of the connecting infrastructure, and every single build needs to mash with all of the other ones, and that's why looking at this makes you go, wow. I really don't understand the layout of the towers and why there's so many of them in weird places, but I can admire the dedication and the clock, and seeing that each of these builds would be very delightful to look at if you could do so one by one, but it doesn't have to be as complex and all-consuming as that. I think sometimes just making a very big build for scale is also pretty enjoyable, because this is something to take your mind off the heat, and as you can see, they've built a giant polar bear right next to their icy village. And yeah, I think that like having things of different scale next to each other is a really fun way to just kind of showcase that Minecraft is a game where you can place blocks precisely and intricately, making really interesting houses that way, or you could just make a giant polar bear, and that's a way to do things as well. Just a reminder, we should probably censor that. Speaking of reminders to probably censor things, this next one is building a house, but every block is 16 by 16, and I felt really lied to watching this, because look at it. This is clearly not a 16 by 16 house, except, oh yeah, that's the scaled up version. They just used that to kind of place this. So most of the builds we're focusing on will be survival based, but this is one that obviously the amount of effort it will take in survival is nuts. Even doing this in creative takes so much knowledge and being able to build each of those blocks one by one, and man, is that nutty to look at next to the original one. This is one of my favorite build types in Minecraft. Just take something and scale it up in 16 by 16, and if you're playing around in Minecraft creative and you're not sure what to do, it's an easy way to get some inspiration to make something that is actually pretty impressive at the end, even if it's not necessarily creative in the way that the creative game mode wants you to build. This is what they're not telling you. You can build anything you want. Also, what they're not telling you is that, by the way, you can subscribe with notifications turned on so you can see more of these videos if you want to see not only collections of lazy toy cat talks over Reddit posts, but also you can see all sorts of survival videos we work on, but you can also see my friend and I transforming the jungle temple into an Aztec pyramid. Obviously, it's not my friend and I don't have friends, I'm a YouTuber, but you can see that this is actually a really impressive build where at first I was wondering what they were going to do, and then you can see immediately how this is going to come together. Yes, the jungle temple is perfectly placed so that you can just place it on top of a big plinth and make something really good out of it. In fact, I wish there was some way to move a ton of blocks in survival that wasn't just, I guess a series of pistons might do it. That's a fun survival project build, right? Place a ton of pistons below something and slowly raise it up. But as you can see, they take the jungle temple and they don't just keep it, they actually start to build on top of it too, making this really impressive Aztec spire that reminds me of the jungle map in a battle minigame. If you're a console fan, you're a real OG, you'll know what I'm talking about. The next mega build is the Andromeda Galaxy remade in Minecraft. Honestly, this is off such a scale that even creative mode won't cover you. You need to use a program or something. In fact, this looks so ridiculous that it doesn't even look like Minecraft at this stage. It looks like pixel art, and if you use enough blocks, what is actually the difference? Which is some of the beauty, I think, in some of the really scaled up things. But obviously, if you're playing survival, you might enjoy things like this a bit more. Just making, in the middle of your jungle, a big tower that is destroyed around a core, hinting at some lore to your world is really cool. You know, you're thinking like, what does the core do? But also it just looks like a fun ruined build that adds a bit of life to a jungle that also says, wow, yeah, the time put into that in a survival world is pretty darn impressive. Speaking of survival worlds, again, not everything here is made in survival. However, when you look at things like this next, again, they're all filtered manually, and because of the way it goes through, this is a thing. This next one was built in survival by Grian. I believe this is a Hermitcraft build that they're referencing. Someone posted this build to the subreddit, and it got 11.1 thousand upvotes. Every single one of the things we're showing off today have over 10,000. And yeah, I believe I did see some of this being built. It is crazy the amount of work it takes to level the ground to do stuff like that, let alone actually placing all the individual things, let alone having an interior. But it's really cool. You know, like YouTube allows people to spend these sorts of hours and actually kind of justify it by having people watch it. I believe it was streamed, maybe. I'm not familiar. But yeah, it's really impressive seeing that people who make mega builds can also make YouTube videos from it. Speaking of YouTube videos, do you know what the worst thing in every YouTube video is? It's the Enderman. And so you know what you've got to do? Take your kids to work day. This is... the scale on this is even more than 16:1, I think. This is something I really love because it does the exact same thing I just mentioned, except it then plays around a bit more. It's not just building an Enderman at massive scale, it's building an Enderman and making him hold hands with a little Enderman and showing both of those things now next to a village. It's like, it's 2 levels of scale in one. I think playing around with scale and perspective is a really interesting thing to do in Minecraft, and when it hits just right, like in this build, it hits really just right. What do you think? Do you like the giant Enderman holding hands with the little one, or do you think they're heartless monsters that would never truly have family? That's I guess a debate we can all have. What do you think of this, by the way? It's just a big baguette. It didn't label itself a mega build, but I think it should be. I think if you can make a baguette that's that impressive, you should be clearly the one designing structures in Minecraft. Can you imagine if there's a biome in Minecraft that's just a baguette? Okay, is this video meant to be about mega builds? I think it is. So the next mega build here is one that is so confusing to look at first because it's the Registan of Samarkand, Uzbekistan. Obviously a world-renowned monument. You don't know the Registan of Samarkand in Uzbekistan? Oh, this is embarrassing. So I guess I'll show you what the thing looks like now, just for comparison. And when you see this, I don't know how anyone looked at this image of this Registan of Samarkand, Uzbekistan. I don't know how anyone saw this and went, yeah, that's something I bet I could build in Minecraft. I am mind blown by the creativity shown in being able to build that, because it's actually, in my humble opinion, it's more accurate in Minecraft in the sense of, like, it's more colorful, it's more interesting. The thing they were going for in the real world, I genuinely feel is better done by this Minecraft block. I don't need to go to Uzbekistan anymore because I feel like I've been there as a result of this guy's Pokemon car, is maybe how you'd say that, as Minecraft build. It's super, super impressive. Speaking of impressive things, this next one here is something they decided to call a Gigabild. It is a Minecraft build of a scale that, again, my brain can't even comprehend at first glance, which is a really cool, level of this, right? And instead of being a city in the usual sense, it's kind of this fantasy, almost like, it looks like Warhammer 40k because of the big center guy, but it's done in like a very different fantasy world. And the patterning on the floor, the quality of the builds in the background, the way this all comes together is really cool. I love to imagine the starting on that build. Like, how do you even begin something that big is something I struggle with. But also, this next thing makes me struggle as well. Look at the size of this gateway. This is a grand entrance to a castle that is so grand, it is so big, that you, again, I question, like, now you have to build something on the inside that matches that. Like, I think it's a cool thing that if you're an artist, or even if you're not artistically minded, you can use Minecraft to get these creative urges out, and they made this thing from their mind in the game that is really kind of crazy to look at. Because, sure, when you look at the next mega build as an example, which is described as the Lost Kingdom I built, you can see very clearly where it came from. It also uses some weird tools to show it off that, like, make clear what's happening here. I think this would be much more interesting if you could build like that in Minecraft, like elevate a whole chunk out, leave, make some blue stained glass on the sides of the water. But you can see, like, okay, well, there's a clear place where that stuff comes from. And then there's things like this where you're like, man, the inspiration, this is clearly Japanese inspired. It's got one of those gates, Shinto gates, I think they're called. It's got a giant frog wearing a necklace, and the more you look around, the more questions you're going to have. But I do love the way that these things come together. The clever use of different block palettes to make this thing that feels very, Japanese, almost, not anime, but like, it feels like old rustic Japan feeling. Is rustic a word that applies? I'm not sure if it does. Next up, we've got the builders really have a lot of time on their hands, and it's this giant archway. Again, I love terraforming terrain in Minecraft, but using terraformed terrain to build something unnatural like this, it's a fun idea that I'm surprised It's something I'd like to play around with myself, and so seeing this is great inspiration. Like, yeah, the way they not only built the archway, but then built things on top of it, and then built things hanging down, it works in a really, really cool way. And in my opinion, am I using the word cool too much? It works in a warm way. You know, does it annoy anyone else that the word cool also means, like, lukewarm? Like, who uses that word for that reason? You know what I don't use the words for, though? My best survival base yet. This is one it's simplifying down, and as you can see, it's pure survival, but he takes a giant pile of deep slate blocks, you know, enjoying those new blocks that he's got access to, and he decides to place so much lava in here that by the second half of this video, look at the frame rate it's moving at. Look at the way the game is literally slowing down. It is a base that is so detailed and so lava-filled that sure, he's not going to have issues with mob spawning, but he's also going to have no issues with being able to play Minecraft in any reasonable time. But still, if we ignore that, the detail and the beauty and this ending shot here, it's so good. Mwah, chef's kiss. Very lovely, very enjoyable. You know what else is lovely and enjoyable? Building a Minecraft city for 2.5 years in secret. Okay, now this I'm curious about. What does that even mean? Who are you keeping it a secret from? But as you can see, they've been building this city, which has all these hoops you're meant to fly an elytra through. I'm guessing we're looking at. It also has, honestly, the terraform terrain, the giant buildings. This is, you can see just the amount of effort that's been happening here. Oh man, yeah. Look at these built. Look at the ships. Look at the level of like detail on the. Even in creative, I could see how this takes 2.5 years. But just trying to imagine how anyone puts in this stuff, it's cool. It's impressive. I love seeing people's dedication to things that they care about. How can you not? That's why mega builds are so interesting to me, because as you look around something like this and you see the flags and you see that they almost have to start creating fictional universes with which to contain the mega builds, it's impressive. Even seeing things like this, a 3-year build project, because 2.5 years, no. 3-year project is Sea Diary, and again, it's so big where it just kind of starts to look realistic. It starts to look like the blocks are like pixels in a big art. But if we look at this picture, the 8 of 13, by the way, they like showing it off, you can start to appreciate, like, yeah, one build in the foreground with a ton of builds in the background, which are presumably detailed the same way. That's the stuff that is really, really worth showing off. And I'm glad, hopefully more people see these as a result of this video. Like this one, this is the one that's after my own heart. Before and after of my survival end build, this is what their end looked like before. This is what it looked like afterwards. Oh my god, I love the dedication. Again, like, as someone who's done my fair share of survival projects, knowing how long it takes to mine out the end in survival, crazy. But then having to, like, build a brand new ring around the outside solely so it looks good from precisely one angle. Because I guess actually it looks okay from down there, but this is the perfect angle. Like, from above, seeing the ring, it looks kind of like a halo ring or whatever. Very, very, very cool. You know what else is very, very cool? This, which I would say is not a mega build. I'd say it's a big moon. Again, it's playing around with terraforming and circles and 3D in a fun way, in quite an impressive way too. It looks pretty good. But is it a mega build? You can have your own debate. This next one is a flying steampunk anglerfish, and yeah, I think this one, maybe the lighting and the texture pack are doing some lifting, but it looks like it's vanilla, by the way. I mean, like the ray tracing, whatever else. But if you look at this it's anglerfish, I love the way that they use Minecraft blocks, because most people, when they use Minecraft blocks for detailing, you can so immediately tell this is a button first, this isn't a pebble on the ground. But these teeth look like teeth, even though they're dripstone. This, the little corner bits, the steampunk kind of thing that are lifting up this the anglerfish light, whatever it's called, those are made from acacia stairs and barrels, but they look really well. They fit quite well, and the palette of using wood and stone together works so well for what they're going for. I love this mega build. I'd say this is a medium mega build, but I like it nonetheless. Like, just building things like this in your sky, it's hard. Getting that high up is a challenge, but when you do it just right, and when you can get the detailing wonderfully, it's good. However, when you use that many details, I start to think, like, is that maybe more of a creative than a survival idea? Because bringing that many blocks around with you just to use twice or 3 times, it's a struggle. Speaking of struggles, this next one here is a small YouTuber, makes amazing builds and needs some more love. And it's funny, because I look at this and I actually couldn't tell what was going on. I was like, okay, what we're going to have to do clearly is we're going to have to look very, zoom in there, and it's like, okay, I zoomed in as far as I could. The image is not high enough resolution for me to really know, besides, like, that's probably a lava lake, right? And there's some trees and maybe some water or some terraformed columns. I'm not really too sure. But then I looked up the guy, Star Plays MC, because I was like, this feels like an ad, but let's assume that it's just someone being genuine. And sadly, he stopped making videos a year ago, so I couldn't even find out what it was. So sad. But it's cool to see when people care about something that they do. I like that people support that. It seems as though a lot of people found him because of this post, and I think it's inspiring when people on the internet do the wholesome thing. You know, we see all these terrible things every single day, but what you should really be looking at is seeing that, like, man, yeah, someone built this. It's the same thing from before. Probably not a mega build, but, like, someone built this, and they put all the time in or perhaps a better example would be this. It is a giant Rubik's Cube spawn area sort of looking thing that has these brewing stands around the side of it. It's not that, it's not that huge in the grand scheme of things, but the fact that they had to make it perfectly rotated when it was already diagonal, and the fact that it works, even at this resolution, is so cool. Every day, you're going to hear about bad things happening, but this guy dedicated months, probably, because actually this is a flatland. This guy dedicated hours and hours and hours to making this cool thing, and maybe we should spend some time appreciating the value and the effort that people are trying to add to the world every single day. Like with this mega build, eventually it will become soil, because it's an Enderman that has been covered in moss and also little pathways, as you can see, in some form of ocean. And I just love the way this same thing is. It's scale. It's making a giant version of an Enderman, and because it's giant, you could have a village living on him. This is an Acacia Village, it looks like. Probably before the whole switchover village types. But you can see, like, yeah, look at this from any angle, and it looks so cool. It looks like he built it first, and then he covered it in moss. I really like what I'm seeing here. It's super impressive, and the only thing that I would say is more impressive is what the Minecraft Reddit deems to be the highest upvoted mega build of all time. What do you think it is? This is Minecraft Builds, by the way, if you want to check it out and see lots of different things. Unlike a lot of Minecraft Reddits, it is specific to any version of the game from PC to Pocket Edition, as they say. But this is, were you killed? Sadly, yes, but I lived. And as you can see, it's not actually a build at all. It's just a menu screen saying Boskawinks was blown up by Creeper. But maybe if I show you what it looks like after he drops down, yes, they really did do this. Look at this. They covered the ground in red stained glass, placed the concrete or the wool or terracotta to make it look like an inventory that was filled with the perfect right blocks. And then, oh my god, like, seeing this from other angles, I was really impressed. I loved what I was looking at. And it's a great example of the fact that, yes, using scale, using mega builds allows you to play with people's perspective in a really fun way. Is it worth going through the hours of time to build something like this? I mean, for a survival world, or even for most creative players, maybe, sure, why not? But there's something cool about the fact that people build it, not just because they want, it's for the sake of, like, you want to build something that is in your brain, and that is the desire that Minecraft gets out of all of us. And when you do it on a big scale and it succeeds, that's the really enjoyable thing. Sure, stick to your small scale builds of your giant statues or your nether portals that are inside of swords, but I also think that the mega build is something that is a great way to just stick a little bit of time in every now and then, because boy, are the dividends worth it. If you have a mega build you'd like to send to me in particular, you can post it on the r/IBXToyCat subreddit. Also, if you have it on a world, we do realm review here and now and then to review people's worlds. I love seeing what people have made in Minecraft, and I really enjoyed going through this today. I hope you did as well. If you did, then make sure to, I don't know, like it or subscribe, perhaps some notifications turned on to see more of these videos. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed seeing whatever weird thing I was building in the background, and I'll see you next time, where I'll be wearing a real shirt as opposed to... Where'd it go? Oh no.